Now, to teach a really natural left hand, Dounis came up with the concept of hanging. And what he saw was that if you're holding the violin up, and if you hang your fingers, line up 4, 3, 2, 1 on one string, and kind of hang your hands so that the weight of your whole arm is being supported by your fingers. And the way it was recommended to me to do it was to take and to prop the scroll of the violin on a music stand. In fact, I'll maybe show you here. Let's just take this off for a moment. Okay, and put something soft so you don't scrape your scroll. And then at the right height, you would rest your scroll on the stand here, and then you would practice hanging. Now, hanging by definition means that there's no thumb support. So if I'm hanging on the G string, you can see now the position of my hand. You see that my elbow is in position on the G string. And when I then hang on the D string, you notice that there's an automatic adjustment of the position of the elbow, and that will occur for each string. So anybody who has a problem in their left hand of imbalance of any type or of tension of any type, I think this is the exercise. This is the basic concept to show them, because it shows them that the hand is a unit, that you're not playing individual fingers. And by a natural movement of gravity, it shows you the proper placement of the fingers. Now, when I work with students, I like to actually support their scroll. And so, Dimitar, can I ask you to stand up, and could you just hold up my scroll? Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go like this. And the first exercise to give the student would be to go like this. You can even bounce a little bit.
Maybe you could turn so you can
Sorry there. Okay. Thank you. Okay, here, 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 here. And so I would assign the student to either have an assistant, like their parent helping them, or to do it with the music stand. And you have to physically memorize how it feels on each string. Okay. It's been my experience personally that I find that I forget to come over enough on the E string. In other words, that we go over because we have to for the G, but then we come over like this. Now, can you see that that's wrong? Mm-hmm. You see, because I'm not using the natural balance. I should be, each string has its own natural balance. And this, incidentally, goes even in upper positions. Okay.
Could you demonstrate that in upper positions? Just hanging?
Sure.
Before you demonstrate that, Janet, is there equal weight on each finger? Are you more on the
Yes.
fourth and fifth?
Yes, I'm trying to have an absolutely equal weight on all 4 fingers. And just to kind of make this a little more colorful sometimes for the kids, what I'll do is I'll say, imagine that you have fallen off a cliff. You're hanging on to dear life, like the Grand Canyon, you're hanging from a cliff. Would you have your hand like that if your life depended on it? Because obviously, if one doesn't kind of square up the fingers into, proper playing position, you're going to fall off, you see. So it kind of graphically shows that strength comes not from pressing or anything like that, but strength comes from structure. And it comes from the structure of the fingers being properly curved.
That's a beautiful sentence, actually. Strength comes from structure.
Yeah.
talking about the left-hand structure, I have a hard time explaining to them how to hang and yet keep the fingers curved and above the fingerboard, because they tend to kind of come from below. So is there something that you add
I
to
mean, like sometimes, if it's too confusing, you could start by having a student just hang the 4,
Right.
you know, and just, you know, just the 4.
But when they hang, they tend to collapse. That's what I've seen over and over. I just
Well,
how to
if
keep it
they're-
above and still
Yeah,
hang.
you see, they don't even have to do so much.
Mhm.
They just have to do enough not to fall off the cliff.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So that if you're holding the instrument for them, so the instrument's very stable, and they're going like this, they themselves can figure out when it's, you know, when they don't have enough, because they can feel themselves falling.
Mhm.
Or like that. So actually, here, why don't you try?
Okay. I'm afraid I'll fall.
Okay, so I'm going to hold you up, okay, and you're going to take off your thumb. Okay, okay. Now, if you are, see, I think that the thing to do is to feel from here, like if I weight you down a little bit, and I want you to try 2 ways. I want you to be a little bit too low, like
Okay.
that. Okay, now go like this, and you feel that you're going to fall off. Okay, now, and you notice I'm not letting you do this. I'm going to kind of keep you like this because I want to feel the weight directly going down. And now you just try to figure out how much structure you need before you don't fall. There you go.
Oh, I see.
You see, so that feel, you can feel it because you
You're
can
saying
feel when
you want to really feel the weight through here.
yeah.
Sometimes I'll have them do pendulums,
Mhm.
and if they keep this straight, if they're doing the pendulum, it really helps open up the
Yes,
shoulder
that's
and
wonderful.
keep the form. And then and gravity kind of guides you to the right spot, but it's hard still to keep this
Yeah.
arch intact. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah, you might even do just 4,
Yeah.
and then you might do 4 and 3, 4 and 3, 2, you know, and beyond. But I think that the chief ingredient is to get the elbow properly aligned. You see, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, and let me say, also, I don't necessarily recommend it for the kids, but you can do this exercise supporting yourself. And you notice that I can hold my violin here and kind of go like this and do it. In all of this hanging business, the chief concern is you don't want to get overwork your shoulder. Do you see what I mean? If I just did it like this, the extra weight that I'm applying here would you know, strain my shoulder. So that's why we prop the scroll. So as a substitute, I can also go like this, and I can show you it here.
And do you do it way up on the fingerboard?
For the kids, I do not, but I'm going to show you the next
okay.
exercise, and it will do it.
Okay.
So you're thinking it's going in the right lines.
Okay.
I would assign to each kid to just do this exercise, and I would do it, you know, for a number of weeks until I felt that I could see the alignment here working properly. In other words, that they had formed a mental image. And all of the exercises, the true result that you want is that you get a very specific mental image of what right is, of what free, natural ease is. So once that has been established, then I'll go, and the next exercise is the Dounis exercise, looks like that way, where you do this. You're going to play the open string, and then you're going to drop all 4 fingers. So we're going to do open, 4, open, 4, open, 4, and then back.
Does it matter where your half steps are, or you're just putting the fingers down?
I'm going to go on and do the whole
Okay.
sequence for you in a minute. But I would start right here with just open, and then obviously I'm playing D, A. No, what's really important is to observe that you are doing the rotation of the elbow, that all fingers are dropping equally. if the hand is not well positioned, you'll see something like this, where the one is up in the air. You see, this is not well balanced. You see, you want to make sure that they can literally make all fingers go down together at the same time. Okay? And you also might want to observe the thumb, because you'll see that as my elbow is rotating, there is a slight rotation of the thumb as well, which is just very natural. Okay. Now, the exercise.
So they're touching the thumb to the neck at that point.
Right, right. This exercise is not hanging. Okay. Now, Dounis devised the exercise to go up chromatically by half steps. So you would do. Okay, and you can actually go up quite high, and I would develop it until.
That's great.
You know, and go up as high as you, I mean, for yourself or for your students feel is comfortable. Now, notice that this exercise covers the entire fingerboard. And the other thing is that this develops a sense of fifths. I find that we need to make sure that our students can actually say and know what the notes are. And it is not as easy to play this in tune as one can think, because you think, oh, I'm just going over in fifths. But what often happens is that they go, you see, and they're not, because, as you've all figured out, that they have to figure out, when you go over here, it feels higher. And when you come over here, you actually have to pull back a little bit to make sure that the fifth is exactly in tune. So this is an interesting intonation exercise, and sometimes it's helpful to make like a little chart for the students. So I would start by saying, well, what notes are we playing here in first position? And so we would write D, A, E, B. And then what comes next? And then you could call it E flat, B flat, F, C. And I actually will write the whole thing out, you know, with letter names, just as a little chart, so that as they're doing this exercise, they can actually associate what notes they're playing. Or sometimes I'll even make them say the notes that they're playing. So we're really learning a whole bunch of kind of interval recognition and intonation, and of course the physical motions at the same time. And one final thing that you can do with this exercise is you can also use it as a vibrato exercise, and you can go. You see, and you can get your vibrato going. You notice I'm doing the vibrato still with that idea of all four fingers. So it's
Talking about the left-hand structure, I have a hard time explaining to them how to hang and yet keep the fingers curved and above the fingerboard, because they tend to kind of come from below. So is there something that you add to these?